All right, so we're kind of, I'd say almost midway through the application season, and we get a lot of questions over the years, primarily when we do individual states on how things work, this and that. But one of the biggest things collectively that we get is party applications. So how do party applications work in this state, that state, etc.? So I figured what better way to sit down and kind of go through the states, run through their party apps, how they work, maybe some pros and cons between them. Whether you should, shouldn't, etc. So we'll dive into each state and see how it goes. So the first state that I wanted to talk about is Nevada. Big question: can you apply as a party in Nevada? Short answer is yes, you can. They do accept group applications. You can do that for deer, antlerless elk, and doe antelope. The way that it works is for everybody that's in your group, they will take your points, they will average them together, and they will round them to the nearest whole number. So what that means is if you average the points and you're sitting at 2.3, that's going to round down to 2. If you're sitting at 2.51 and above, it's going to round up to 3 points. Residents and non-residents can apply together for antlered mule deer. I highly suggest not doing that, only because you as the resident are going to get thrown into the non-resident quota. So you can apply with a res and non-resident together. I'd suggest not doing so. Stick with your residencies, give yourself the best shot. If you're a non-resident applying together with another non-resident, one thing I would caution yourself on is make sure you take a look at the tag quotas, make sure there's enough to satisfy the group, because Nevada's a state that does not over-allocate. Meaning, if there's not enough tags to satisfy the party, the whole party gets thrown out. When you do apply, the way that it works is your party leader, the first person will apply, he'll apply as a party leader, and then the rest can join that party as a party member or a group member. Another thing I'd caution too is if your party draws and one person wants to return a tag, the only way to return a tag is if the whole party returns a tag. So unless you want to really piss off your buddies, don't do that. The next state's New Mexico. So for New Mexico, you can apply for all species except for Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep, desert bighorn sheep, and ibex. The max number of people in the party for deer, elk, antelope, and Barbary sheep, or aoudad, or oodad, is 4. The max number of applicants in your group for oryx is 2. If you apply residents and non-residents together, guess what? You go into the non-resident pool. So unless you really, really like that non-resident friend of yours, don't join a party with him. You want to make sure whether your group is resident or non-resident, doesn't matter, you just want to make sure that whatever pool you fall into, make sure you have enough quota to satisfy the number of party members. You have a party leader and party members. So one person applies, gets a party number, the other people join the party when they get on to do their applications. All right, the next state up is Arizona. So Arizona also allows party applications, and you can apply for all species. Bonus points for Arizona, what they're going to do is they're going to take everybody, they're going to average everybody's points together, and they're going to round that to the nearest whole number. Residents, non-residents can apply together. They will be treated as a non-resident applicant if that happens. You also, just like the other states, pay attention to how many tags are in the quota. If there's not enough to satisfy the party gets tossed and they move on. Utah. So Utah does allow party applications, and you can have up to 4 people in your party. Unlike the states that we've previously mentioned, they will still average your points out. However, they don't go to the nearest whole number. They average your points out and they round down. So if you are 4.8, you enter the draw with 4. It doesn't round up to 5, they round down. Res and non-res can apply together. And this is kind of the exception state where that doesn't put the whole party in the non-resident pool. Actually, the way that it works is your residents and non-residents, if they're in the same party together, they pull from their respective quotas. So you both need to pay attention. This isn't so important for residents. more so for the non-residents. Make sure there's enough quota so each one can pull from their respective quotas and move on. If there's not enough in either quota pool, then just like all other party apps, if there's not enough to satisfy, they toss it and move on. There are no group applications for any once-in-a-lifetime hunts, and every member must apply on the same application. They cannot be added after an application is submitted, so make sure everybody who's going to be involved is there to apply when you apply. All right, so for Colorado, Colorado does allow you to apply as a group. The only ones you cannot do that for is moose and bighorn sheep. The party application uses preference points with the lowest number. So if you've got somebody with 10 points, somebody with 6 points, and somebody with 2 points, well, guess what? The whole group just entered with 2 points. Unless you really, really like that low-hanging friend, you might want to talk him into putting in by himself. You can apply together, residents and non-residents, except for sheep and goat. When you do that, just like some of these others, you will pull from the non-resident pool. So I'd take caution with that one, especially going into this year, because the non-resident split in Colorado has gone down. So be cautious of that. So as far as Colorado and how many people can be in your group, for elk, deer, and antelope, you have unlimited amount of people. The max number for Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep and goat is 2. They don't over allocate, so be very, very cautious on the quota. Make sure there's enough to satisfy everybody. All right, Wyoming. To start that off, residents and non-residents can't apply together as a party. That's pretty easy. So you don't have to worry about whether you fall into the res pool or non-res pool. Party apps are for one residency or the other, not both. So you can party app for deer, elk, and antelope. Those are the only 3, and you can have a max party size of 6. And the way that Wyoming does it is they take all your points and it's a true average. So there's no round up, there's no round down. They take all the points in the party, they get a true average of those points rounded off to the 4th decimal point. If an application is drawn, then everybody is awarded a license. So this is the one state that does over allocate tags. Most other states, if there's not enough to satisfy, they throw it, but not Wyoming. If that application's pulled, there's 1 tag left, but there's 5 people in your party, all 5 are getting a tag. All right, Idaho. So Idaho, you can apply as a group. You're allowed up to 4 members in your group for deer, elk, and antelope. And for sheep, moose, and goat, you're allowed 2. Once again, non-res and res can apply together. However, that is severely going to hurt the res because you go into the non-resident pool. Idaho is a completely random state. There's no points average, no nothing. Just you, your party members, and swing away. So for Montana, Montana allows parties up to 5. You can have 5 people in your party for deer, elk, and antelope. Depending on whether you're going after the one of the combo tags or permits, will depend on how points are averaged or used going into those draws. So if you're going after permits with your group, that's a runoff of bonus points, and the way that works is they're going to average all points between the members, and they're going to round that to the nearest whole number. If you have 2.3, it's going to round down to 2, 2.5 and up, it's going to round up to 3. If you're going after one of the combo tags, it's off of a true preference point system. So those points are going to be averaged to the true average. So that's going to be no rounding up, no rounding down. If your average is 2.6, you enter with 2.6. Residents and non-residents can apply together. However, once again, that puts you in the non-resident pool. All right, everybody's favorite state, California. So California, you can apply as a group for deer, elk, and antelope. They split that up between deer and elk and antelope. So for deer, you can apply res and non-residents together, and you can have up to 6 members in your party. Now, since how California runs off of everybody's in the same pool, there is no res quota or non-res quota. It's just one quota, everybody's in it together, and that's why they allow res and non-res to party up for deer. For elk and antelope, it's resident only, and you're allowed up to 2 members in that party. I'd highly recommend not doing that for elk and antelope just because there are so few tags. The odds of one person drawing are absolutely terrible, so why risk getting your app rejected by having more than one? Because if there's not enough tags to satisfy the both of you for elk and antelope, they're going to toss it and move on. The way that California works, same as Nevada, when the first person applies, he's the group leader, he'll get a group number. He'll give that to whoever wants to join his party, and when they get on to apply, they apply that group number, and they're joining the application. All right, so the last one that we have to talk about here is Oregon. This one's pretty short and sweet. So Oregon does allow group applications. They allow those for deer, elk, and antelope. They do not allow those for bighorn sheep or mountain goat. You can have any number of party members in your party when you apply. So with all the group members in your party, they're going to take all the points that you have, they're going to average those out, and they're going to round those to the nearest whole number. So 2.5 and above is going to go up, 2.4 and down is going to go down. You need to be sure that you have enough quota regardless of residency. If you don't have the number of tags to satisfy those in the party, they're going to go ahead and toss that application. The biggest thing I'd pay attention to is specifically on the non-res side, just because those quotas are going to be quite a bit lower, and most of your landowner draw is going to suck from that non-resident pool as well. We've covered the states on a high level as far as how their party apps work. Most of them are very, very similar. They all do allow it, maybe not for all species, but for the most part for some. Some of their averaging is a little different. If you've got more questions after you watch this, I might have just confused more people than we know. So if you got more questions, comment, email, call. We'll do what we can to try to set you straight, but hope this helps.